Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to build this beautiful fully functional analog clock using just HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And the best part is that it's just isn't just a CSS animation, but the clock will show the actual current time, and all the three hands, hours hand, minute and second, will going to move automatically. So if you are a beginner and you are learning HTML, CSS and JavaScript, so this is really a good project to understand how these three technologies work together. So as you can see, this is the final result that we are going to create. So we have a circular clock at the center and the numbers like we have 12, 3, 6 and 9, and we have three different hands for hours, minute and second. So as you can see, the second hand will going to move every second, and the minute hand will move according to the current time, and the hour hand will also move gradually. So without wasting much time, let's get started from scratch. So I have already created a folder for our project, that is we have index.html, style.css and script.js. So let's start with our basic HTML structure. So we're going to create a boilerplate. So we have this, and let's give a title to our analog clock, and also we're going to link our style.css file. So we have link style.css and the script.js. So we have script, and inside this have source script.js. Alright. Now inside the body, I'm going to create a div with the class clock, and this will be a main clock container. So let's create this. Alright, so inside the clock, I'm also going to create another div for the numbers. So let's create this. And as we know, we have numbers 12, 3, 6 and 9. So we're going to create them individually. Before that, let's run this code. Let's go live. And here I'm going to, for each number, we are going to create a span. So let's create a span. And I think we have 4 numbers. So, and inside that have 12, then we have 3, and we have 6 and 9. And I'm also going to give a class so that we're going to design it later on JavaScript. So let's give a class. So for 12, let's give it n12. Similarly for 3, 6 and 9. Alright, so we have done with this, and as we know, we need our 3 clock hands. So the first hand is our minute hand, or the second hand is our hour hand, and the third hand is going to be the second hand. So let's create a div for that. So inside a clock, I'm going to create the div. As we can see, you have only numbers, and now let's work on the hand. As we know, at the center we have a point, right? So for that, I'm also going to create one more div, and let's give it a class center div. and we're going to give a class center, a center point located at the center of our clock. So this is our entire HTML code. So we're going to refresh this. So we have only the words, and now let's start styling it. So we're going to move towards our style.css. So firstly, I'm just going to resetting the default margin and padding from the browser. So we're going to select a universal selector, and let's give it a margin which is going to be 0. Then we have padding, which is also going to be 0. And I'm also going to give a box size, which is going to be border box, which make it easier to control the actual size of our element. So let's give a box sizing, which is going to be border box. Now next, what we have body. Okay, so we're going to use a body element, and inside this I'm going to give a height 100 viewport height, that going to make the body takes the full height of the screen. So let's give a height which is going to be 100 viewport height. Then I'm going to give a justify content center, and before that, as we know, we need to do the display flex, because we know our clock is at center, right? So we're going to give a display flex, and after that we're going to do justify content center, so our clock will going to horizontally centerized. So let's give it justify content center. Then for vertically, we have align item center, and finally I'm going to give the background a black color. Now let's see. All right. Now next what we have. Okay, so we have a class clock. So we're going to do this clock. So I'm going to give a width and height of 300 pixel. So let's give this. Then we have border. So the border gives the outer ring of a clock, right? So this is very vital part that we have to define. So let's give a border. So border, I'm going to give a thicker border, right? So 8 pixel, solid, white. Yes. So we have this border. And as we can see, this is right now we have a square, right? And we need to make a circle. So for that, we're going to set the border radius 50%, right? So give it border radius, which is going to be 50%. All right. Yes. Then I'm going to give a position relative because we'll have to position the clock and relative to the container, right? So that is why I'm going to give a position relative. Position going to be relative. And then we have a box shadow. So I'm going to add a cyan glow in box shadow. Box shadow, have, give it 0, then again. Okay, let's check this. Yes. So here, as you can see, the line is very important. This line is very important, right? Border radius 50%. By setting the border radius to 50%, our square become a perfect circle, right? Okay, now next what we have. So we have a number. So let's style this. Dot number. All right. So I'm going to position them absolute inside the clock by giving them spacing and edges, making them white and increasing their font. So let's do this. And bit of bolder number we have. Now, what next we have is we have span, right? We have span. Let's do this. So we're going to select a span. And as we know, each number is going to position individually. So I'm going to make this span absolutely positioned. So let's give a position absolute, and also let's transform it, translate direction minus percent. Okay, what next we have? Then we have classes for each number, that is n12, n3 or n9. Okay, so let's select them individually. So first 12 goes at the top, right? So we're going to select the class for a 12. We have n12. Yes, let's do the cross check. N12. Okay, n12. And as we know, it will have to be moved at the top position. So for that, we're going to give a top, which is going to be 0. On the left side, we have 50%. Now next we have n3. So let's do this. Okay, let's first. Okay, then we have top is going to be 50%, and from right side we're going to give minus 5 pixel. So 3 goes to the right side. Next we have n6. So let's select this dot n6. So we're going to, as we know, 6 will have to move at the bottom side. So we're going to give a bottom, and from left side it will be 50%. Then next we have n9. It should have to be on the left side. So we're going to give a top. It's going to be 50%. And then from the left side, we're going to give a 5 pixel. And now our clock already look much better. As you can see, it's look like an analog clock, but we haven't added the hands. So now let's create a hand. So for hand, we have a hand class. We're going to select a hand class for. Okay, so let's select dot hand. So the hand are going to be positioned absolutely, and we are going to place them at the center of the clock. For that, I'm also going to position them absolute. Then from bottom will be 50%. Then from left side, again we have a 50%. Then I'm going to give a transform region bottom, and our border radius is going to be 10. So I want to emphasize one thing, that we have this transform origin bottom, right? So this is the most important property in our project. It basically tells the browser that the bottom of the hand should be used as the rotation point, right? So when we're going to do the JavaScript, that will going to rotate the hand, and it will rotate from the center of the clock just like a real. Okay, now we have individually our minute and second class. So let's move to our class. So our class is bit of shorter and slightly thicker. So for that, we're going to give a width, which is going to be 7 pixels, and height is going. I'm going to give a 70 pixels. Then we have a background. Let's give it a white background. This is our hand going to look like. Then now let's move to our minute hand. So the minute hand is a bit longer and thinner. So for that, I'm going to give a width 5 pixels. Height is going to be 95 pixels, and the background, let's give it again a white background. And now let's see. So yes, we have a little longer and a thinner minute hand. And now let's move towards our second hand. So we're going to select a second class, and inside this, as we know, the second hand is longer and the thinnest hand. So I'm going to make it red so that it will going to easily identifiable. So let's give it a width 2 pixels, and we have height. As we know, this is the longest hand ever in a clock, so I'm going to give them 110 pixels, and the background is going to be red. All right, so this is what our second hand going to look like. Now the one more important thing is to creating a center point, right? So I'm going to make a red center circle and positioning it exactly in the center of the clock. So for that, as we know, we have already created one div for the center. So we have a class center. Let's select this div by using a class. So we have a center. And let's give a width, which is going to be 14 pixel. Then we have height. Let's give it again a 14 pixel. We are basically making a square, and then we're going to give a border radius 50%, so we get a circle. right? Then we're going to give a background. I'm going to give a background a reddish. So for that, I'm going to give a red color. And then as we know, we need to make a circle. So for that, we're going to give a border radius, which is going to be 50%. Okay. Now, next what we have, I'm going to give a position absolute. So let's give a position, which is going to be absolute. And then from the top, we have 50%. From the left side, we have 50%. And also I'm going to give a transform. So let's give a transform, translate percent minus percent. Okay. Okay. So now a clock look like an actual clock, but the hands aren't moving yet. So this is where the JavaScript comes in. So now let's move towards our JavaScript. So we have script.js. Okay, now let's start a JavaScript to make a clock functional. So for that, I'm going to create a function. So let's create a function, and this name, which is going to be, I'm going to give a function called to be update clock. Let's give it update clock. All right, so everything related to getting the current time and rotating the hand will happen inside this function. So I'm going to taking a date, new date. I'm going to create a const, which is going to be now, and have new date. So this line will going to create a new date object. So JavaScript's date object gives the current date and the time for the user device. And after that, now I'm going to extract in the second, minute, and hour separately. So for that, let's do this. Similarly for the minute and the hour hand, so that we're going to give the current second, minute, and hour. So let's do. Alright, so get second we're going to give the current second, then get minutes will gives us the current minute, and get hour will gives us the current hour. Now the most important part, so that we're going to create the current time, but the CSS doesn't understand that 30 seconds means the second hand should point somewhere. So we need to convert the time into degree, right? So we have so as you can see, a complete circle has 360 degrees and a clock has 60 degrees, 60 seconds, right? So we're going to calculate it like 360 divided by 60, which gives us a 6 degree. That means every second the second hand moves 6 degree. So if, for example, if the current second are 10, then 10 multiplied by 6 gives us 60 degree, right? So this is what the entire logic for second angle. And now we're going to give going to create a minute angle. So also we're going to do the similar. So we do similar for the minute hand. Every minute is also 6 degree, but I'm also adding second into 0.1 because we don't want the minute hand to jump suddenly when a new minute starts. So we wanted to move gradually, so that's why I'm just adding 0.1. Now let's do calculation for our hour hand. So as we know, there are 12 hours on a clock. So 360 divided by 12 gives us 30 degree per hour. So I'm using modulo 12 because JavaScript gives us time in 12-hour format. For example, we can take 14 hours become 2 on our analog clock. So that is why I'm also adding minute into 0.5 so that our hour hand going to gradually move as the minute changes. And now to rotate the hand. So now we have the angle, but we need to apply it to the second hand, right? So I'm going to use get element by id to find our second hand, and then I'm going to change it css from transform property. And after that, we're going to rotate the hand by the angle that we have already calculated. So let's do this. Okay, now the same thing happens with the minute hand. So we're going to do the same. And finally, we're going to rotate our hour hand. So we're also going to do the same. All right, now there's one final thing that we need to do is that we have to run the function only once. Our clock won't continue moving. So I'm going to use a set interval. So let's do this. We need to move outside of this function. And we're going to give interval. So we're going to give a update clock. This is our function, and 1000. So 1000 basically means 1000 milliseconds. So that is basically equals to our 1 second, right? So our update clock function will run every second, right? And we need to call this function. Let's call this going to be our update clock. So I have just called this function once immediately. So this is because setInterval would otherwise wait 1 second before running for the first time, right? And let's see. Yes. We have built a real-time analog clock using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So if you have enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful, so make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.